Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, a top EPA nominee says chemical reviews won't be compromised for AI data center development. And voting groups ask a court to immediately halt the Trump administration's overhaul of the SAVE database. It's Thursday, October 9th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. All right, let's dive into the day's top headlines. The Environmental Protection Agency's pledge to get out of the way on chemical reviews to accelerate the build-out of artificial intelligence data centers doesn't mean those reviews would be any less robust, a top EPA nominee told lawmakers on Wednesday. Appearing before the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee, Douglas Troutman, President Donald Trump's pick for Assistant Administrator for Toxic Substances, was pressed by Senator Ed Markey, Democrat of Massachusetts, about comments made by EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin last month following a White House roundtable with AI and data center leaders. In a September 18th press release, Zeldin announced that the EPA would begin prioritizing the review of new chemicals under the Toxic Substances Control Act that would be used in data center projects. Markey asked Troutman, a former chemical industry lobbyist, what provisions in federal toxic safety laws indicate the EPA can, quote, get out of the way of reviewing chemicals for safety. Troutman responded that, quote, nothing will change with regard to the robust review based on the risk-based statute enacted under Section 5 of TSCA, unquote. Markey appeared unconvinced, telling Troutman that if he's confirmed, he will be under the orders from Administrator Zeldin to get out of the way. The Massachusetts Democrat made the case that big tech bosses with ties to the administration could lean on the agency to bypass regular review protocols. In other news, voting rights groups are asking a court to block an ongoing Trump administration effort to merge disparate federal and state voter data into a massive citizenship and voter fraud database. Last week, the League of Women Voters, the Electronic Privacy Information Center, and 5 individuals sued the federal government in the D.C. District Court, saying it was ignoring decades of federal privacy law to create enormous national databanks of personal information on Americans. On Tuesday, the coalition, represented by Democracy Forward, Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, and the Fair Election Center, asked the court for an emergency injunction to halt the Trump administration's efforts to transform the systematic alien verification for entitlements, or SAVE program, into an immense technological tool to track potential non-citizens registered to vote. Until this year, SAVE was an incomplete and limited federal database meant to track immigrants seeking federal benefits. In an October 7th court filing, the group said an immediate injunction was needed to prevent permanent privacy harms due to the, quote, illegal and secretive consolidation of millions of Americans' sensitive personal data across government agencies into centralized data systems, unquote, through SAVE. The groups wrote that while the complaint, quote, challenges a broader set of defendants' unlawful data consolidation, plaintiffs here seek emergency relief concerning one particularly harmful and urgent facet of defendants' conduct, their overhaul of the systematic alien verification for entitlements, or SAVE system, unquote. In addition to SAVE, the lawsuit also claims the existence of, quote, at least one other interagency data system that consolidates other data sources from around the government that might have information concerning immigrants into a centralized data lake housed at U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back tomorrow with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, as always, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.